As federal tariffs go into place for Canadian, Mexican, and Chinese goods, another industry that could bear the brunt is craft beer. Dan Gross spoke with a prominent local craft brewery on the increase of cost in barley and an industry expert on how this already comes at a time that's tough for craft beer.
As federal tariffs went into effect this week, one industry is set to bear the brunt: craft beer. The industry relies on Canadian aluminum and glass manufacturing for cans and bottles, steel from China for brewing equipment, but the biggest cost of good for craft breweries like Three Heads Brewing and others is barley. Barley is pretty much the most used ingredient in beer. Dan Nothnagel is the president of Three Heads. He tells me post-pandemic, the brewery made the switch from a Midwest barley supplier to a Canadian one.
All our barley comes from Canada, and we fill up about 50,000 pounds a time in our silo.
Nothnagel says should the current tariff rates stay, it would cost them thousands more dollars per fill.
A 25% tariff would be absolutely detrimental to the business.
The timing is not ideal as well. Paul Leone is the executive director of New York State Craft Brewers Association. He says winter is already slow for craft breweries, and in the colder months, agriculture needs to be sourced from Mexico. He calls this a double whammy for many small breweries.
And these are small Main Street businesses run by, families and friends and things, and so their margins are already incredibly thin.
Nothnagel is determined to not pass the cost on to consumers if he can help it, should the tariff stay in place. And he says that Three Heads and others need consumer support to stay afloat.
But if you can get out there and support your local breweries, this is definitely going to be a time of need as long as these tariffs are in place.
Reporting, Dan Gross, News 8.